In the great debate over whether God exists or not, when a skeptic comes along and says, no, it is not necessarily the case that the God of the Bible exists or a God exists, give me evidence. But that presupposes that you can have evidence without it actually being the case that the God of the Bible exists. Okay, the God of the Bible is the necessary precondition for all meaningfulness and intelligibility. Premise 2, we have meaningfulness and intelligibility. Conclusion, therefore the God of the Bible exists.
You're going to have to give support for each of your premises.
I did, because you see, without an omniscient, you can laugh all you want. You see,
no, I mean, I'm sorry. That's pretty fucking stupid, okay?
Okay.
So, I mean, don't blame me for laughing.
When you do not accept that it is the case that the God of the Bible exists, and that's a de facto denial of the God of the Bible, you have no capacity within your position to articulate the meaningfulness of any fact. Because if you do, I'm going to ask you what the prerequisites are for that meaningfulness. God would be the ultimate core belief, would you say?
Well, for theists, yeah.
Name me one absolute that you could begin to have background information to make a probabilistic assessment of physicality.
You don't understand it, and you need someone.
I do understand it.
No, you don't.
I'll explain it to you. Why you're
no, you need it explained to you.
Why don't you stop over talking me?
Why don't you stop over talking me and let me explain it to you?
This is why you are conversations that I've had with you.
I'm doing the same thing you are. You're doing it first. I'll explain it to you.
In a way, these words like theist and deist and Christian, they're almost kind of worthless until the person defines specifically what they mean. I bet you if you asked this gentleman here the question that I started with, how do you form a worldview without experience? I wonder how he would. I would bet he would. When I say experience, I'm talking about the flow of information that's coming in through your senses. Without that, you wouldn't You wouldn't even be a conscious being.
Experience is a term that we use when there are causal relations.
Yeah, like how could you even exist on as a conscious being without an experience?
When you present this idea that there's no basis for logic without God, you're creating circular reasoning because you can't be aware of God without having an experience first. So that would mean there's no basis for anything in any world.
If you weren't having an experience, then you wouldn't even be able to think.
Have you ever?
The word experience would be meaningless in an entirely chance universe. When you speak of sensory experience, by definition, that entails the concept of causal relations.
Why?
So you can't have sensory experience in an entirely chance universe. There would be
Why not?
Individual, I'll explain to you. Sensory experience entails actual cause and effect relationship.
You don't understand it, and you need someone.
I do understand it.
No, you don't.
I'll explain it to you. Why you're.
No, you need it explained to you.
Why don't you stop over talking me?
Why don't you stop over talking me and let me explain it to you?
This is why you are conversations that I've had with you.
I'm doing the same thing you are. You're doing it first. I'll explain it to you.
That you don't live in a chance universe, right?
Incorrect.
What?
Incorrect.
Okay, why? How could you have evidence in an entirely chance universe?
Your experiences are evident. If you're experiencing a chance universe, you're getting a constant stream of information through your senses that would constitute evidence.
No, you're not understanding this. In an entirely chance universe, each and every singular event does not have any relationship to any other event.
Okay.
So you can't speak of sense perception.
I just did.
I know you did, but I just explained to you why it's incorrect.
No, you just asserted it's incorrect.
I mean,
No,
like,
I just explained to you why it's incorrect. I'll be glad to go over. Well, the very evidence of the Christian God is the fact that without him, there can be no evidence. Word again.
okay, let's do this. I'll concede all your points. Okay, now give me evidence for God.
Okay. Well, the evidence of God is the very fact that we're having a meaningful conversation here today. The evidence of God is that there can be evidence and reason at all. And if you laugh at that, then you are supposing that you can have evidence and reason without God. But if you don't start that it is the case that God exists, and yet you insist on evidence, you're going to have to give metaphysical arguments that the prerequisites for evidence actually exist. So if you appeal to empirical endeavors and any future predictive successes, right, as verifying the uniformity of nature, it's a circular argument. Oh, I'm not opposed to all empirical support is circular in nature. All circular reasoning. They just exist. In other words, they're not the product of a creator. Well, when I just say a brute facts, they just are. If you hold to philosophical naturalism, that the only thing that exists is matter and energy. And in that worldview, those would be your core beliefs.
You can presuppose such a belief before doing science, but then you can do science and confirm that belief.
In your worldview, in order for you even to communicate with me, in other words, for your words to be meaningful and intelligible, in order for you to be able to reason, you have to have some core beliefs about the nature of existence.
Yeah, and I do.
Okay, so what's the argument that nature operates in a law-like way?
Well, thousands of years worth of science,
That's
experimentation,
already been rebutted. How would you have evidence for causal relationships? Well, the answer is you can't have any. You have to assume it. You just talk about I committed logical fallacies. That presupposes that there are laws of thought. What laws of thought?
Yeah, there are.
What are they?
I think we both know what they are. The three laws of logic. Law of identity?
Right. What does the word law refer to? Does it refer to that it is absolute and universal?
Yeah.
And how would you be able to verify that they are absolute and universal? Well, I've just demonstrated to you the bankruptcy of atheism. That's one thing I've noticed about you, Outbound.
Yeah, this is what I've noticed about you is you always act like a 12-year-old, and then when people reciprocate the same behavior that you're exuding back to you, you want to point out that they're doing it, but you can't admit you do it.